Hey, TDK here for the Best Buy blog, and in this video we're going to take a look at the Huawei Watch GT4, Huawei's latest smartwatch that comes with some caveats when you put it on your wrist. Huawei's been making smartwatches for some time now, and the Watch GT4 is very much in line with what the company's done before. So aesthetically, you could expect a lot of the same things that you would have seen before. Functionally, though, I think is where the real questions come in. What can this watch do? Who is it for? Those are the kind of things we're going to tackle here in this review. Not surprisingly, Huawei's made a nice looking watch, and the GT4 carries on a tradition of Huawei doing this. They know how to make a watch look good. It's never really been about the appearance. I mean, if you just look at this watch overall, you can see that, it's nicely constructed. You have standard lugs, so you can change out the band. It's actually very easy to swap out a band to put any other one that you want that at least fits the lugs. Doesn't have to be from Huawei, it can be from any other brand, really including watch brands, like standard watch brands as well. So if you want to put something metal or leather or fabric, anything that you want to put on here, that is easy enough to do. So don't worry so much about which band the watch comes with, because it's pretty easy to change that out. The design generally, this is the 46mm model. The watch also comes in a 41mm, so a smaller one too. So if you have a smaller wrist and you want that, then you can always go that route too. Even at 46mm, this watch doesn't feel huge, even though the screen is nice and big. It's vibrant, easy to see, and very, very colorful, which is one of the things that I like about it personally as well. So I'm just going to cycle through some of the features here. So here is where you will see your metrics throughout the day, and then we'll go over here and we see some of the features now related to health. We'll touch on that in a second. And also things like calendar, you've got your music, phone calls. So you've got your exercises. One thing I'm going to point out here before we really dive in is that the watch, unfortunately, is limited in what it can do for you as far as third-party apps go, but also for third-party features. So even though this will work with Android and to a lesser degree iOS, you don't have access to all the apps and features that you normally would. So for example, if we're looking at this, if we're comparing this to like a Wear OS smartwatch, you're going to be missing a number of things. You're not going to get Google Maps on here. You're not going to get Google Assistant or even Google Wallet, right? So if you want Google Pay, you want to pay for things on here, you're not going to be able to do that. And that's even despite the fact that there are first-party alternatives. So there is Huawei Pay, but unfortunately it doesn't work with any of the Canadian cards or banks. So even though it's there, you won't be able to activate it and do anything with it, right? No way to get Google Maps to work. There are alternatives, but you're not going to get Google Maps on here, and you're certainly not going to get Google Assistant talking either. So those are just a few things to keep in mind that I think are important from the get-go. What you will get here, okay, you have the heart rate monitor, you have an SpO2 sensor in here as well. There's also a skin temperature sensor. All of those are active, they all work. What is not here is an ECG, so there's no electrocardiogram nor blood pressure monitor features in this. Those are in the GT4 Pro. So the Watch GT4 Pro will have those features. This is the regular one, doesn't have those two, unfortunately. So even though you're missing a couple of those premium features like an ECG and a blood pressure monitor, you still have a lot going for you here. And so we're gonna kind of dive into that. And by going through all this, I'm gonna explain to you where I think this watch fits in your lifestyle, because for the most part, this is a smartwatch that is a lot like a fitness tracker. You can get to exercises pretty quickly. There's a button here on the side, so we press that, and then we get to the workouts. Courses and plans is kind of cool, because here, I'm just going to tap that. Here you can have running courses, training plans, things like that. So if I go to, let's say, a training plan, so connect to the health app, yeah, there you go. So this all obviously works through the Huawei Health app, which you're not going to find in the Google Play Store. You're going to have to sideload that, but that's easy enough. When you set the watch up, there's a QR code that is given to you that you scan, and then it'll directly take you to a direct download on your phone. One of the best things that Huawei's done here is that they've made the app updatable within the app. So normally you would update apps through Google Play or the Play Store, but you're not going to be able to do that with this app, obviously, because you didn't install it from there. So in this case, you would install updates directly from the Huawei Health app, which is a great improvement compared to the way it was before, where it was a more convoluted process that involved a whole other bunch of other steps. But here, at least you can do it through the app. So we have that. Now, taking it back here, so if I also look at some of the other workouts, you'll see outdoor run, track run, indoor run. Now, there's a few dozen in here that you can make use of. And unfortunately, you're not going to get automatic tracking on these. Walking and running really are the only two that the watch automatically tracks. Otherwise, you'll have to manually start. So let's say we do let's say we do a pool swim. Okay, yeah, there we go. So, all right, cool. And there we go. And then we're off and running, right? And this will be the stop button here. That'll pause it. And then if I want to resume, I can hit or I can hold to end. So it just gives you an idea. Oh, there we go. So that just gives you an idea of how some of the tracking works. Yeah, too short to be recorded. End workout. Yeah. So that just gives you an idea of how it works, right? But for the most part, your inputs are going to be manual here. There's not going to be automatic tracking for all these exercises. So you will have to be pretty vigilant about making sure that you start the tracking process when you begin and then end it when it's over, just to make sure that you get all the metrics you're looking for the exact time. Tracking generally is an advantage in this watch because there is a fairly high level of accuracy. So from the heart rate monitor all the way to things like the skin temperature, right? So here's an idea of the skin temperature, how it works. The only thing that was weird about the skin temperature sensor that's different from other smartwatches is that it doesn't give you a fluctuation point. Like, for example, it'll tell you what the temperature of the skin is. So it'll give you a temperature, but it won't give you like a plus or minus, right? Which is what most other brands do. So that's something that's a little bit odd that's not there, but in any case, that's basically how it works. So there you go. We have an idea. See, skin temperature measure fail, of course, because it's not on my wrist, but that just gives you an idea. And then if we go back and we look at, okay, here too, it's not on my wrist, so it's not going to track this properly. I'm also pressing the wrong button. There we go. So now we have breathing exercises and things like that, right? So you take a measurement, okay, and we go back. Yeah, and then that's it, right? So those are some of these are some of the health tracking features, right? And here you'll see, of course, now obviously it's on my wrist, so the heart rate read is not right, but all these metrics apply here, or they show here, along with the features that are above there. You can't customize this, so it is set up the way it is, and it just got to leave it like that. And then of course you have the functional integrations that work here. You can take phone calls with this watch, by the way. You can make them as well. So if somebody calls and you want to talk to somebody through the watch, that is not a problem. There are microphones and a speaker on here, so you're good to go. You can add things also to a calendar if you want to. That's not a problem as well. And of course, if you want to listen to music, that's where things get a little tricky, because the music that you listen to would ostensibly be stored on the watch. The problem is that refers to music files, not necessarily the music that you're streaming, let's say through Spotify. There's no Spotify app here, but there is a Spotify controller app, which you may or may not be able to get to use on this watch. I find that sometimes has regional restrictions. It's weird. I had a hard time getting it on this watch, and it doesn't seem to work on mine where it has before. Your experience might be different in that regard. So I couldn't control Spotify. I could listen to music without a problem, but I couldn't control Spotify and gain access to anything that I had on there regarding playlists, albums, things like that. Now, speaking of apps, you'll see that if you press the button from the home screen here, you have a bunch of apps that are available, right? So this is your app launcher, and there's a lot of them here, pretty much all of which are first-party ones. Some third-party apps will work. You'll have to get to them, though, through the Huawei Health app on your phone. I find that's the better way to find them, partly because it's easier to search, and also because once you install it on there, it'll then move it over to the watch. It's a pretty simple process, and doesn't require a whole lot on your part. I would really browse to see what's there. You're not going to recognize a lot of the apps that are available because there's no Play Store here, and so you have Huawei's app gallery that is essentially supplying the apps that are available. In some cases, that'll include third-party ones. There will be some side-loaded versions of apps that you may recognize as well, like Strava, for example, if you're into that. That'll be here, but otherwise, there will be a lot that's missing. And so that's one of the trade-offs in using this watch, is that you're essentially getting a watch that is really, really good at tracking activity. For exercise tracking, this is an excellent wearable. It does a very good job in staying accurate, keeping up with what you're doing, maintaining, with a built-in GPS, route, distance, all that stuff that you're looking for in a running watch. It's all here. The challenge, though, is that if you wanted a further integration with apps that you're using to do those things, that's where, unfortunately, you're going to run into some roadblocks here, because the app may not be available, or there may not be a way to sideload it onto the watch as well. And so that's the big trade-off from what I see here. One thing that's not a trade-off is the battery life. So battery life is excellent. I went for about, we're just going to take a look here. So I'm at 51%. Now, this is days after I charged the watch. I have not put this on a charger for days, and it's at 51%. Now, this is a very moderate usage, so I haven't worked out much or done anything the last couple of days. But if you're an active person, you're still going to be able to stretch this out to pretty much a week, maybe 5 to 7 days for sure, if you're using this on a regular basis. If you're really modest in your usage, might even be able to stretch it longer than that. But that's a pretty long time by smartwatch standards. And so Huawei's been good on battery life for years, and they've maintained that here. And so if you're looking for a smartwatch that focuses on fitness and some health and lasts a longer time than some of the competitors that are out there, you've got something here that you can use. This video gives you an idea of what you can expect from the watch. There are certain features perhaps that you can probably dig through, or even things that you can dig up that might work on this watch. But generally speaking, what I showed you here is what you can expect. So certain things are missing, certain things are there. To me, now, in my opinion, as I noted earlier, I find this watch to be more like a fitness tracker in the guise of a smartwatch. So it is in the form of a smartwatch, but it's a lot more of an activity tracker than anything else, simply because so many of the ancillary features are not available for one reason or another. And so if you're looking for something that looks nice on your wrist, you want a watch form factor, but you also want the fitness and some of the health tracking features, this could work for you, especially if you're an Android user. But if you're looking for something that's going to integrate into your lifestyle a lot more and with your phone, so things like payments, things like mapping, or a virtual assistant, the sort of things that you would want to use or are already used to using on a smartwatch, this is not going to be for you. So as long as you know where you stand, you'll know whether this should be on your wrist or not. And that's my review of the Huawei Watch GT4. You can learn more about it by just clicking on that link below. For the Best Buy blog, I'm Teddy K. Thanks for watching.